Good morning. I'm Dr. Petra, and welcome to our Science Mind class this morning. One of my favorite things to do every week. And I love being here with you as we are continuing to dive into the science of mind. We're on page 271. We're in the Principles of Successful Living, demonstrating the law.
Actually, we're not.
We're not?
We are still finishing The Law is Infinite.
Well,
That's
heck.
the people have spoken. Petra, we want chronological order.
Chronological order. Oh, you know what? This is really good. Thank you so much for saying that, because there are a couple little paragraphs here at the end of this previous one that we do not want to pass up. Yes. So, this is the second full paragraph, a little tiny paragraph in the middle of this page. We may be quite emphatic in saying that we think the universe exists for the expression of spirit. And we exist for self-expression because we are an expression of spirit. Okay, so this cannot be stressed strongly enough. First of all, this is one of the places where you see the deep influence of the Eastern traditions in the science of mind. This comes almost directly out of Hinduism, excuse me, but with the deep overlay of the teachings out of the Gospels of the idea of incarnation, that we are, in fact, expressions of the one. We talk about it as being individualized expressions of the universal. So first of all, let's take a look at it. We think the universe exists for the expression of spirit. So this is what we mean by the fact that the physical universe is the manifest body of God. Without physical expression, infinity is not fully infinite, and the potential of life to be anything is not realized, right? It is in the form, the outpicturing, the doingness of something that potential becomes realized, becomes actualized. And so when we talk about spirit as the infinite reality and the infinite potential and the impulse of life and all of that, it's the causal reality. That's great, but it's unrealized. It's simply the potential for everything, for anything, but it's not yet anything. And so the entire cosmos, the physical cosmos, from the quantum field all the way to black holes and everything in between, is the expression of spirit's potential into manifestation, into expression. So it gets to be and do all the things that are possible. Sri Aurobindo really captures this Hindu thought that the universe is here for the delight of the divine. So the ancient Hebrews knew this too. God manifested, right? Let there be light, let there be earth, let there be this, let there be that. And what was said each time? It is good. It is good. It is good. Right? Not because we think there was a God that said, let there be light, but because the mystics, the ancient mystics, had a sense of what was really going on, and metaphorically, right, had this creator being. And the important thing is that two things. One, it's from causal reality, intention to create, into expression, right? Let there be whatever. That's the first piece. And the second piece is, it is good. So it's not just for the expression, it's not for the expression of the divine so that the divine could learn something. or so that the divine could create something and then punish it, or say, well, that's bad. Why would that happen? It's all for the delight of the divine, for it to express itself. And if you and I are made in the image and likeness of that, we too are made in the image and likeness of having the expression of our lives be for our own delight, not addictive cravings, not egoistic self-absorption, but delight. The delight of expressing who we are, who we came here to be, our own unique joys and the things that really light us up and the contribution that we have to make. And quite frankly, the deep savoring of the physical experience, because our lives too are expressed in physicality. And so when we, when we talk about, in our meditation practice, in our spiritual practice, we want to learn how to be. We want to learn how to be, because in the West, we are obsessed with doing. We've decided that our value is based on what we do, and whether or not we make any money is based on what we do, and whether people like us is based on what we do, right? So we're these doing creatures. And rightly so, we remember that we have to also get in touch with our being. But being, only being, is unexpressed. Ernest Holmes says somewhere in the textbook, and I can't remember exactly, no, it's not in the textbook. Anyway, it doesn't matter. In one of his writings, he says, 30 minutes of meditation is all you need. 30 minutes of meditation to align yourself with spirit, and then go express your life. So we're not sitting on a mountaintop. If you feel called to do that, great. But we're called to express. And so once again, as in all things in the science of mind, it resolves itself into a paradox. It's not just doing. Clearly, we know that. It's exhausting, and we can't fill ourselves up from the outside. But it's also not just being. It's not just being. It's actually being and doing. Be, do, be, do, be, do, be, do, be, do, be, do. We could probably make a song out of that, right? Be, do, be, do, be, do, right? It's the dance, because the beingness isn't fully experienced until it's expressed in some form or fashion, right? Whether that's in laughing with a child, or whether that's in writing a sonnet, or whether that's in saving the whales, or whether that's in building a business or creating a piece of art. Do you see, the beingness of who we are isn't fully expressed until we're doing actually many of those things, not just one thing, not just oh, I'm going to do this one thing and that's my purpose. No, our purpose is to live, to express. So this is the second half. We exist for self-expression because we are the expression of spirit. And so the universe has taken the macrocosm, the cosmos, evolutionarily as far as it can go on the automatic impulse of life to express life. And now, any place where there's self-awareness, self-consciousness, right? We know it's in human beings. Well, mostly we know it's in human beings. Sometimes we're not as aware as we could be. And wherever else it is, who knows? Dolphins and chimpanzees and places on other planets and other multiverses, right? We're most interested in ourselves because that's what we're most interested in. Right? Wherever self-expression has evolved to be able to see that it is expressing and creating, we're contributing to the expression of life. Because now the universal is now in individualized expression that is able to see that and be that and go, wow, so what potentials do I want to express as me? What would it be like to express joy in my work or love in my relationships, my personal relationships, your personal experience of life? Because yours is unique. Nobody else has your life. Nobody else has your innate tendencies or the environment in which you grew up and the things you learned and how you put all that together and the unique, never to be repeated expression of spirit that you are, right? No two snowflakes are alike, no two blades of grass are alike, no two moments of self-awareness are alike, no two human beings are alike. And so our expression is what we're here for the delight of our lives, which by translation is for the delight of the divine, because the divine is us as individualized expressions. And it's really fascinating to me when sometimes people come into spirituality or have been in spirituality and metaphysics for a long time, and what I notice is that there's this tendency to say, well, I'm just going to be whatever spirit, whatever, I'm just going to be. But we're not doing our job then. We're here to create. We're here to express. And yeah, it's hard work to choose. It's hard work and it's not always pleasant to get the response when we choose something and we realize, no, that wasn't it. That really didn't feel good, or that didn't have the result I wanted, or quite frankly, that choice really was from some egoic need. But that's how the law works, right? The law simply outpictures whatever we want to express, and then we get to determine how does that work? Was that good? Would we say that was good, or would we say, well, maybe not so much? Maybe I need to try something different. Maybe I could see, if I learn something from this, I could do this differently. I could actually be love instead of demand love. I could actually be peace in this experience. I could actually overcome my fear and get out there and really express myself rather than hold myself back. Right? Do you see all these things? These are all the things that we get to learn out of the experience. We are here for self-expression because we are an expression of spirit. Now he goes on to say this, which I just think is really fascinating. I think this paragraph is really interesting. We do not exist for the purpose of making an impression on our environment. We do exist to express ourselves in and through our environment. There is a great difference. We do not exist to leave a lasting impression on our environment, not at all. It is not necessary for us to leave any impression. It is not necessary if we should pass on tonight that anyone should remember that we have ever lived. All that means anything is that while we live, and wherever we go from here, we shall keep on living. I think this is so important because I think sometimes we struggle with the purpose and meaning of our lives. Like if I don't save the planet, is my life meaningful? If I don't make a difference, is my life meaningful? If I haven't built a business or made money or raised a child, is my life meaningful? If I haven't accomplished, is my life meaningful? If my name isn't on a building or on a book, or is my life meaningful? And the answer to that is every life is meaningful. Your life is meaningful because you are living it. And every moment, if you are savoring a sunset, it is meaningful because you're the universe savoring that particular sunset as you. And if you're enjoying a moment with a loved one, you're the universe enjoying that moment with a loved one, that moment of love that is never going to be repeated. It's never going to be the same again. And that moment of love is being expressed and experienced through the entire universe because you're experiencing it. And so it's not about leaving an impression like being famous or being discovered or any of those kinds of things. It's about being alive, being fully and deeply alive, and therefore being engaged in our own lives and being conscious about creating and about savoring, right? Because creating and savoring are the two sides of the coin of being alive. Being engaged and making things and doing things and being involved and all of that, and then actually being present to it all and experiencing it, and not just on to the next thing, on to the next thing, on to the next thing, or judging, that wasn't good, and better fix it. But to actually then savor the moments, right? These are two sides of the same coin. That's what it means to live. And so we're in this the Principles of Successful Living chapter. The principles of successful living have nothing to do with how much money is in our bank account, how many accolades we get, how many people know our name, how much of an impression we've made. It has everything to do with whether we are living our lives or whether we're just surviving, whether we're just moving from thing to thing somewhat unconsciously, right? Now, many of us are motivated to make a difference. And that difference is because we want everybody to be able to express their fullest life, right? So we want to make a difference in the environment so it doesn't collapse. We want to make a difference in racial justice and equity so that people get to have the experience of being able to fully express their lives without outer limitations that are false and totally inappropriate. Right? So we want to make a difference. We want to teach our children. We want to make a difference with our children because we want them to grow up to be able to express their lives. Do you see every single inner urge about making a difference is our recognition that not only do we want to express our lives fully and live fully, we actually want everybody to do that. And so, yes, we want to make a difference in law and politics and the environment and all the different education, all the different aspects that we feel called to make a difference. But it's in service to the fact that we deeply understand that every life is worth living. Every person's life is worth living. Every being's life is worth living. And the whole thing, the whole thing is the full expression of life itself, of spirit itself. And we're a part of that, right? And so helping to make more expression possible is totally in alignment with the impulse of who we are. All that means anything is that while we live. And wherever we go from here, we shall keep on living. We're never going to stop expressing, which is the other reason why we don't have to worry about whether we're going to be remembered or whether we make an impression on the world, because this isn't the only life we have. This is a blink in the eternity of the life of individualized expressions. And when we get to the chapter on immortality, we'll talk about why it is that we absolutely know that there's so much more going on than this particular, whether we had 2 years on the planet or 120 years on the planet. This is a blink in the eternity of our own lives. And so our lives will continue to evolve and express. And so the point is to be fully present and fully engaged in expressing who we have come here to be. All right, so we're going to stop right there because that is a whole giant mouthful in 2 tiny little paragraphs. And we're going to stop right there and we're going to check in with Ryan and see what's going on out there and have a little conversation about this.
Thanks, Petra, and welcome to everybody once again who's joining us here on Zoom and Facebook Live. We love to see your faces digitally, I guess. And we'd love to hear your questions and your comments. So for anybody who's on Facebook Live, go ahead and comment in the comments section, and I can bring your questions here into the room. And those who are here with us in the Zoom room, you can hit the raise your hand icon, and I can call you in the room that way. Or you can always put your questions and comments inside of the chat box, and I can read them out loud. I do want to mention that I try to keep everything fairly anonymous, just so that way if you guys have things that you want to bring up but don't want your name included into it, we want to respect and honor that. So it looks like I have a few things coming in, Petra. Where I'd like to start here is with Shauna. Shauna, do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself?
Good morning, Shauna.
Good morning, Dr. Petra. I love this line. There is infinite, well, I'm paraphrasing. There's infinite spirit, which tends to multiply our gifts because in doing so, it multiplies its own experience, its own pleasure, its own fruition. So I've been trying to do this discipline, and the key word is trying because I have to keep remembering. But I've started doing this discipline where when I do an activity, like right now I'm working on the draft of my book, I've started saying this thing, okay, I am putting my efforts into this book, multiply my efforts, right? Because this is so liberating for me to know that all I need to do is my best, and that best will be multiplied. Now, I wish I would remember it every moment of my day, and I'm really trying to slow down and live in the present moment. But when I do remember it, it's so liberating for me. It's like it takes all the effort out of what I'm doing and puts me back in flow. And I know when I'm not doing it because it feels like effort.
Yes.
When I do it, right, it just gives me permission to do what I'm doing, the most fun, best way I can, and just have confidence that that's going to be. I love the word multiply.
Yes.
It's just so. It's such a joyous word,
Yes.
right? And I just wish I could remember, in every step I take. I'm practicing. I'm going to remember, and I'm getting better. But when I remember to just let the divine multiply it, everything gets easy. And and it's so contrary to the messages we've received growing up about, it's all about effort and work and making a plan and taking action and making it happen. And, this is just magical.
Beautiful. Can you say the statement again that you were paraphrasing, Shauna? Uh-oh, did we lose her? Nope. Can you say that statement again?
There's infinite spirit, which tends to multiply our gifts because in doing so, it multiplies its own experience, its own pleasure, its own fruition.
Beautiful. Yay. Thank you so much for sharing that this morning, because you're exactly right? You're exactly right, because we're now the place where the universe gets to experience something brand new, which is Shauna writing this book. But this is what we also mean by the fact that we are sourced from that one infinite spirit. So all of its wisdom, all of its energy, all of its creativity is already present right where we are. And so if we are engaged, that source is flowing through us, as us, into everything that we're doing. And I loved what you said, practicing that, right? Practicing that reminds us that this flow is happening and it's uninterrupted, and we can trust that. Now, this doesn't mean that you might not find yourself totally engrossed in what you're doing for 2 or 3 or 4 hours and not even realize that the time has gone by, and your hand is cramped and you're writing and but it's not a struggle. There's no struggling effort in it, because it's this full engagement and everything that's needed is present. And other times it just flows magically, beautifully, wonderfully. And we are, in fact, adding to the fullness of life itself. And what a wonderful thing it is to know that when Shauna is writing her book, she's adding to the universe's experience of itself. When you're doing anything, you're doing the same. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's really beautiful. Ryan.
So I have a question, and there's a couple questions within the question. So I'm going to kind of paraphrase this a little bit. It says, funny I heard this today. I've been getting confused lately when I pray, thy will be done. I know that God's will is always good. Of course, I believe that. My will is also good. So I've had issues, quote unquote, playing God lately. How do I separate the two? How do I know that I'm actually praying for my will to be done and not God's?
Okay, the last little bit of that question threw me a little bit, but that's okay. That's all right. It's all right.
Let me continue with the last part of this. Maybe this will give some clarity. Maybe God's good will that I'm praying for is not in the cards for somebody. Without a better ways to phrase it, what's the point?
Okay, so what we're confused about here is God's will and our will. First of all, they are only different. God's will and my will are only different when my will is seeking to express something that's out of alignment with spiritual truth. So my will is only out of alignment with God's will if I am intentionally, maliciously, or in some way doing harm, seeking to take something from someone, seeking to oppress someone, seeking to damage the planet or the things around me. Because God's will is always for life. And the thing that I think we get confused about is that the universe's will is not a form. I'm going to say this again. The universe's will is not a form. It's life. It's expression. That's why we have evolution, right? Because the expression of life is for life. Well, but evolution is the outpicturing of that at the level of form, which is why there are mutations, which is why there are, before humans got involved, which is why there were natural extinctions and natural changes in the environment. All of that is the form working itself out to create more life. Even volcanoes that blow and destroy whole areas end up creating twice as fertile ground and a whole new place for life to emerge. And so the universe is not interested in form, it's interested in expression. Our will is to provide the form. I want to express life as someone who writes a book. I want to express life as I want to write a book, and I want to be a parent, and I want to have a relationship, and I want to build a business. Do you see? All of those are forms to express life. God's will, I'm sorry to say, but the universe does not care whether you're an accountant or a teacher. The universe does not care whether you save the whales or save the sequoia trees or work for racial justice, right? What it cares about is that you are expressing life in the way that is native to you as an individualized expression of life. And so this is where I think that we get so confused. And so we have to think about what is the trajectory of the will of the universe, the will of spirit as it's moving into life. Well, we can think about the qualities of this life that is seeking to express. Thomas Troward gives us a list of 7, which many people consider a very seminal list. There are probably more qualities. We could probably, easily go up to 20. But we're going to start with the 7. Life, light, love, peace, power, beauty, and joy is the will of God. Life, because if it weren't for life, there would be no expression. Does this make sense? If there were no life, there would be nothing. If there were no impulse of life, there would be nothing. Otherwise, right? You'd have this, anyway, it doesn't matter. So there would be nothing without an impulse for life. So it is life seeking to express itself. Light, because that's the building block of the universe. We know everything is made out of photons of light, and the impulse of light to explode into existence. Love, because that's the impulse. Life is seeking more life, which is the definition that we give to love. Givingness as opposed to takingness. Life isn't expressing so that it can take stuff. Life doesn't express stars so that it can have them back or take something from them. Do you see? They're avenues of expression, of giving of light, of giving a planet so that life can continue to grow. Life, light, love, peace. It has to be in harmony with itself. This trajectory for life is not confused. There's no confusion about wanting to express life, and therefore peace, power, it has everything it needs to express life. It has all the intelligence and power and wisdom and everything that's needed. Beauty, again, because there's something harmonious about it. Even in the hurricane, there's beauty. Beauty in the unfolding process, and then ultimately joy. The delight of the experience, oh my gosh, to savor it. Now, do you see, not one of those things has a form. So my will is, how does life, love, light, peace, power, beauty, and joy, how do I see that expressing in my own life? What's the trajectory that I'm going to shape? I mean, I could sit around and shape nothing at all, and unfortunately what will shape it then are all the ways that I've been programmed to believe my life should run. But if I want to have my will and thy will be in alignment, now I'm going to seek to express those things in forms that actually allow me to express those things. Right? So for me, joy does not come in small talk. So I'm not going to express peace and beauty and joy in small talk, although I can do it. Joy comes for me in doing this with you. So I'm going to do these things. Does this make small talk wrong? No, lots of people are really good at it. They're really, really good at it, and there's a reason for it, and they have all that social glue. I'm a little socially awkward because I'm not very good at it. Do you see? So my will is in alignment with thy will because I spend time doing this with you. So it's only confusing when we think that the will of God has anything to do with form, or that the universe would in any way, shape, or form have an opinion about a form that we seek to express through. And a form isn't just a thing, right? It's not just a house or car, but it's also the activities that we're engaged in and the things that we want to be involved in. I'm hoping that this is helpful. I'm going to turn back over to you, Ryan.
Now I know why you always rolled your eyes and walked away from me when we were at the water cooler and I asked you how the weather was.
Well, not so much rolled my eyes, but you noticed that I don't have much to say.
Yes, we are all deep talkers over here when it comes to this Sunday morning Science of Mind. And introducing my next deep talker, David. Do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself, David?
Hi, David.
Hello, Ryan and Dr. Petra.
Petra.
How you guys doing?
Good.
Petra. You guys doing well?
Yes, it's good to hear from you.
Awesome. Well, I'm really enjoying this talk. I was thinking, like, as I express my life, I sometimes feel as if I'm sliding from the driver's seat into the passenger seat, which is not where I want to be. I don't want to be riding shotgun in my life. And, I feel like my attitude and my passions sometimes get hijacked.
Yes.
And I know that my life and my mindset is truly mine to conduct. You know, it's like I look at it like I'm a symphony conductor and I'm supposed to be this maestro, but I don't feel like a maestro all the time. So my present mind should be mine to conduct, and I must have the discipline to not allow that role to be outsourced to something outside of myself. And I often feel that is the case, but I'm beginning to appreciate the courage it takes to live from the heart of who I am. And I'm using practice and the principles and everything I'm learning here with you, wonderful, wonderful, beloved souls, to improve that and better, notice when I get hijacked.
Yes.
When I'm in the driver's seat now, and I'm taking that role back because it's mine to possess.
Yes.
It's right here. It's nowhere else. It's not happening outside of me. And in an instant, I can see it, and I can move back into that seat, and not be so caught up in, I might look stupid.
Yes.
Or I might look like I'm wishy-washy. But like you said, noticing, maybe I made a mistake, and having the courage to get back in that conductor's seat because I know this is not in alignment with who I am.
Yes.
With what's really going on.
Beautiful.
And I'll be quiet now.
Oh, no, thank you so much for sharing that, David. Oh, my God, and two really beautiful metaphors to really help us get a hold of it. I mean, you are so right on. And we do tend to slide out of the driver's seat into the passenger seat. And partly that's our victimization, right? Oh, my God, I lost my job or whatever it is, and now I'm a victim of that circumstance. I can't do anything about it. But the truth is we can just as easily slide into the passenger seat thinking somehow that the universe has an idea about where we should be going. The universe doesn't care. The universe just wants us to express ourselves. And we can't not choose. We're either choosing to be in the driver's seat or we're quite frankly choosing to be in the passenger seat. And if we're choosing to be in the passenger seat, we're actually not co-creating. We're not. We're not co-creating. We're not engaged in the expression of our own life for the delight of us and the divine. And you're right, sometimes that's challenging. Sometimes it's a little tiring until we recognize that it's not our power that's driving the car. It's not like, we're not like Fred Flintstone, if you remember the Flintstones way back when, right? We don't have our little feet paddling down underneath getting the car to go. The universe is providing the engine and the gas and the everything, right? Everything, that's the source that Shauna was talking about, this idea that we're sourced from it. We're literally just sitting in the driver's seat with our hands on the steering wheel going, well, do I want to go right or left or forward? Where am I aiming this whole thing? That's our job, because if we sit over in the passenger seat, we have to look carefully and ask ourselves, who's driving? Now, Spirit can drive if we've set a destination. Once we've set a destination, Spirit can drive, but if we have not set a destination, I promise you it's not Spirit that's going to be in the driver's seat. It's going to be what we think we should be doing, what we think we should be, how we think we should be behaving, where we think we should be going. Or a whole boatload of false ideas. So that is a fabulous metaphor. Thank you so much for sharing, David. And yes, it's practice, right? It's practice, which is why we're in spiritual community together, to support each other in the practice. Ryan.
Yeah, now that you're saying that, you remember those insurance commercials and the guy who's called Mayhem?
Yes.
Who just goes around and he's different characters. I kind of think of that guy as the person in the driver's seat when you bring that up.
Yes, it's a great idea. I love that.
All right, cool. So I want to ask Doreen. Doreen, do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question or comment?
Hi, Doreen.
Yes, thank you so much. Aloha.
Aloha.
Wow, I love being here today. And today your message, daily word, was being in community, in spiritual community. And so this is beautiful. We have this opportunity right here, right now with each other.
Yes.
And I love what I heard, that I'm not here to make an impression. And in that, it's not like it's not necessary in that way, as in that's not the purpose of my life. That I'm here to be uniquely a spirit, expressing and experiencing life as me. Yes. That's the purpose of my life. And with that said, I do have a deep need to contribute.
Mm-hmm.
And I see now from this that contribution comes from this impulse inside me, motivated by wanting everyone to live in this self-aware way too.
Yes.
Thank you. I just put it all together in this way I've never had before, because it's like, I want to make a difference. I want to make a difference. I want to, contribute. And now I understand why I want this for everybody.
Yes.
Not because I'm trying to make an impression, not because I want a book, not because I'm, all that's all good. I'm not saying that's not good. That's not the purpose.
Right. You don't want a book or a thing so somebody can say, "Oh, look how cool Doreen is."
Oh, yes.
Right.
That's right.
Because
so thank you.
You are so welcome, Doreen, and thank you for encapsulating that. Right. So because now our making a contribution is utterly it's not attached to an egoic need. I will be someone when I've made a contribution. I will be noticed because I've made a contribution, right? These are egoic needs. And we are, as children, we need those things seen. We need to be seen in that way, but we've matured into spiritually maturing adults. And now we recognize it's what we contribute, because exactly right, because we want everybody to have this experience. And so our motivation to contribute is out of this desire to support all of life expressing. And I will tell you that sometimes also, I think in metaphysics and in New Thought, we can become so psychologized that I actually had somebody ask me once, this was many years ago, when I was waxing pretty passionate about the need for justice and equity and the environment and women, as like these things that are all so intertwined and so important. And the question that was asked of me was, well, I see that this must be an outpicturing of something that happened in your childhood, that you shouldn't be angry. Really, there's no need to be angry. So what childhood thing is being triggered? Well, let me just tell you, it made me even madder, made me even angrier. Because I recognize that we sometimes pathologize this desire to contribute, and we pathologize our grief over what's happening in the world and our righteous anger when we see humanity or society not in alignment with these spiritual truths, not expressing in alignment with it. And our deep desire to make a contribution, I think it's ridiculous to pathologize it and assume that it's somehow because of something that's happened in our childhood. It is, as Doreen said, this beautiful desire and recognition that all life is to express itself to its fullness. And we should find the places of stuckness and limitation, and then we need to work on those. And we can contribute our truth and what we can do to help in those particular areas that are particularly in alignment with our own interests and tendencies, right? We can't all be about everything, so we pick and choose those, and we trust that other people are about the other things that all need support in this expression. So thank you for saying that, Doreen. That was really beautiful. Thank you. All right, Ryan.
All right, so I just want to bring this last comment in here for today as we get ready to close up. It says, for me, working with Science of Mind teachings and staying in alignment with my spiritual truth is an exercise in consciousness. While working on countering all my limiting self-beliefs, I sometimes don't pay enough attention to recognizing when the things that I have been praying for, treating for, affirming my spiritual truth about, start to appear in my life. So as a portion of my meditation practice is to notice the seeds of my spiritual mind treatment,
Yes.
plantings starting to sprout and how they are sprouting my life. They might not appear to be fully mature.
Yes.
So I just wanted to read that statement.
Beautiful, which really reminds us that there is a law of growth in the space-time continuum. From the planting of the seed to the full flower, it might take time in the space-time continuum. Just like we don't plant a tomato seed and think that tomorrow we're going to have a juicy, ripe tomato. And to really allow those things to be nourished while they are growing is really important. So I am going to come here to this last paragraph, or the second to last paragraph. It is quite a burden lifted when we realize that we do not have to move the world. It is going to move anyway. This realization does not lessen our duty or social obligation, not at all. Doreen's contribution. It clarifies us. It enables us to do it joyously and free from morbidity, that which we should do in the social state. Do you see exactly, Doreen, as you said, now our contribution isn't because we are against things that are wrong and need to be fixed. It's because we are for this expression of life, and we know that as we contribute in that way, we are making that opening, that we are releasing those limitations from consciousness as a whole, from humanity, from our social state, so that expression can be fulfilled. And let's close with this beautiful statement that Shauna had already read to us. We're going to close by reading it again. It's the bottom of page 270. With this in mind, and believing that there is an infinite law of the spirit, or law of life, which tends to multiply our gifts, because in so doing it multiplies its own experience, its own pleasure, its own fruition, we may, therefore, assume that as spiritual people, we are already a success, already supplied with everything we need. The potential of all things exists in the universal wholeness. The potential for your success, our successful, joyous life already exists. All we have to do is align and express with it. All right, so next week we are going to go on to demonstrating the law and what that looks like and means. And we're going to see, Ryan, do we have any announcements we want to make?
Yeah, just real quickly, for those who are watching us here on Facebook and also on Zoom, we're going to have our Sunday celebration starting here at 10:30. However, we are not going to be broadcasting live to YouTube. So just FYI, go to our Facebook CSLDallas, all one word, page to watch the Sunday celebration live.
Yes, we are working on getting it on YouTube, but we still have some technical bugs to work out. So but you can go to YouTube and subscribe to CSL Dallas on YouTube, and as soon as we're live on YouTube, you'll start getting the notices.
And I'm also going to post the video there afterwards. It's just the live broadcast, so you guys will still be able to view our Sunday celebration. It'll just be up a little bit
It'll
after.
be up a little bit later, which means that if you're subscribed to CSLDallas.org, you'll get the notice that that's been posted. All right, love you so much. Love being in spiritual community. Thank you, everybody who contributed comments and came online to speak with me. Super love it. Thank you, Richard and Ryan. Have a blessed and beautiful day. Bye for now.